Hey gang, Danielle Egnew here. I was asked to provide you with a video showing some of the tools that I use during an exorcism or a clearing of dark entities out of any space. Now, it's important for you guys to remember that dark entities can be many things. They can be demonic, they can be elemental, they can be Jinn, they can be really, really dark human entities that are just gnarly. But we're going to start with some tools that I use in a more traditional exorcist setting with demonic life. First and foremost, you cannot go wrong with the Holy Bible. All right, when you are dealing with traditional demonic life, it can't stand to be reminded that it was a lot wimpier than Jesus Christ. Man, does it chap its hide. So pretty much all the stuff in here really gets it irritated. The one thing that you can completely count on when you're dealing with a demon is its ridiculous sense of hubris. So the Holy Bible is great if you want to just pick at it and just get gnarly with it and get underneath of its skin. You can't go wrong with traditional demonic life by packing one of these. Of course, if we are dealing with traditional demonic life, another main instrument is the crucifix. Guys, it's important to recognize that it's not the actual cross that a demon is afraid of. This is actually a torture device, okay? This is no different when people are wearing crosses. It's no different than somebody wearing a handgun or somebody wearing a guillotine. This is what the Roman Empire used to pin people up who were being convicted of anything, or just if they didn't like them, and suffocate them to death. Most deaths by crucifixion were deaths not caused by the nails that pinned you up, but by the weight of your body pulling down on your pulmonary system and suffocating you over a 2-frickin-day period, while birds landed on your shoulder and quite often pecked out your eyeballs and did all kinds of other nasty, nasty things. So, you'll understand that that whole concept would be very appealing to a demon if you're wagging a torture device in their face. The reason that I tend to use this particular cross is that it's made of metal. And metal is an electromagnetic semiconductor. This particular cross focuses my most powerful tool that I have in my arsenal when I'm dealing with demonic life. And that tool is my own faith and my own energy. Any practitioner who goes into this field has to carry a bounty of what's right here. Because all of these bells and whistles that I'm going to continue to show you don't mean a dang thing if you are not centered right here. Metal, of course, is an electromagnetic semiconductor. So when I am focusing the light of God or the light of creation or the light of spirit, a lot of what is coming through me goes through the metal. And that tends to be very uncomfortable to our demonic friends. So that's why I carry this particular cross. Along those lines of things that are very uncomfortable to our demonic friends, which I love making them uncomfortable, there's something wrong with me. This is stupid packaging, okay? But I wanted you to see where it came from, so I left it in the stupid packaging. These are 3 elements from Galilee and the Garden of Gethsemane, all right? We have holy oil from really the Garden of Gethsemane. It's olive oil. We have earth that is from Jerusalem. And over here, we have holy water from the Jordan River. Now, obviously, this packaging is completely Hello Kitty and disgusting. However, these elements have spiritual physics attached to them that demonic life find very, very uncomfortable, all right? You have to remember, everything is a wave. Everything is a vibration. This soil has the vibration of the Holy Land. It has the vibration of where Jesus hung out and went clomping around. It has the vibration of spiritual ground zero if you're dealing with demonic activity. So what I tend to do is take this soil, mix it with this olive oil, that was not intended to rhyme, and it makes a paste. And I will place that paste on the forehead and actually in the palms of people who are affected by multi-entity possession. They don't like the resonance of this, you guys. It's like creepy bug spray to them. Keep in mind, demons are nothing more than gnarly, gnarly cockroaches with a very, very long attention span and a very, very nasty temperament. So I do like to bring the stuff from the Fertile Crescent when I'm dealing with them. Something else that I tend to actually carry along more often than not is this bracelet. Now again, this keeps me focused, all right? What it is are little talismans. This is, of course, St. Michael the Archangel, who is the slayer of evil, and that's who I call upon a lot when I'm doing demonic work. St. Michael is the one who comes and, of course, steps on the devil's head, runs him through with an arrow. He's badass. We have St. Christopher, who is the patron saint of travelers. Now, for those who may not be aware, a lot of times if somebody is possessed by a multi-demonic unit, they push that person's spirit kind of out into the ethers. So it's nice to have the patron saint of travelers to guide them back. And the third medal is St. Francis. And St. Francis is, of course, the patron saint of all earth and of all living things. If I'm dealing with a Jinn or an elemental, then St. Francis comes in very, very handy because the Jinn especially and the elementals are not as particularly frightened of Michael the Archangel. They're more on par with Michael the Archangel, so it becomes a little different kind of battle. This particular bracelet was blessed by the Catholic priests up at St. Ignatius, which is a beautiful, beautiful Catholic mission and church up in northwestern Montana. So I like to wear this as well, mostly for a focusing tool for myself. Now, guys, it is, again, important to remember that if we are dealing with something that is not demonic, they're not necessarily going to run screaming from Christ like everything else. Not every dark thing is necessarily afraid of God in the same way that demonic activity is afraid of God. So, if we are dealing with anything that is an elemental who's gnarly, these sage sticks, I wrapped myself. I actually picked these bad boys right up on an area that's called Four Dances. That's up here in Montana. Four Dances was a cliff section that was used by the Crow Indian Nation way back before we called them the Crow, all right? And they actually went up, the chiefs did, and meditated on the Four Dances cliffs. And they brought in healing to the tribes. So this sage is Rocky Mountain sage. It's a little different from that really heavy big leaf sage that you get in metaphysical bookstores. They tend to pick that stuff out of the Southwest. This has a different metaphysical property to it, and I tend to use this and burn this if I'm dealing with elementals for a clearing capacity. And I don't know if you know this or not, but actually sweetgrass is what you use to actually clear a room. Sage is what you use to usher in spirit life. If you're dealing with elementals, what you want to do is clear the place by bringing in bigger, lighter, happier stuff so that those entities can converse with the elemental entity and send it packing. So sage, my own hand wrapped, is what I tend to bring into those types of situations. Now, if you're dealing with a dark spirit that oftentimes gets confused for a demon called a Jinn, Jinn are, oh, how do I explain Jinn, you guys? They're gnarly, they're nasty. They are attached more to the Hindu cultures, and Jinn are what the Western culture oftentimes mistakes as a demon, but they're not a demon, all right? This is a Tibetan bowl. I have 4 of these bad boys, and I carry them in a medicine bag that's actually wrapped in blessed deer hide. So these guys, if you are dealing with the Jinn, are what you want to employ. You hear that noise? Jinn are very, very frequency sensitive. They hate this stuff. You can sit there and hammer on them with frequencies at the same time that you're chanting and dealing with light entities to bring in very positive environments to actually cast that Jinn out. I have a set of chimes, and I also have a little handbell set that's very useful when you're dealing with the dark guys that are not necessarily demonic. Sometimes this kind of stuff works on an elemental. I mean, that's irritating probably just for you to hear. So you can imagine if you're a dark entity who is easily disturbed by any sort of competing wavelength or energy signature in its space, you can understand how that's going to kind of be irritating. So this lovely is a blessed deer hide. I wear this as a mantle when I go in to perform any sort of clearing or any sort of exorcism, in the same way that a priest would wear a vestment, okay? This was obviously blessed by a Native American spiritual person. I was asked by the tribe that blessed it to not mention who it was or why. It's part of the Native tradition to not sensationalize that type of stuff. However, it is blessed, and it's very powerful for me as a practitioner and as Lakota and as a Cherokee person. So I like to carry it because it seems to work. So gang, this is my arsenal. This is what I do. This is how I use all this material. I hope this gives you a little bit more insight about what I would be bringing in. However, keep in mind, again, I'll say it again, the most powerful tool that any exorcist has as they come in to any horrible situation is their spirit. We'll talk soon.